Hi everybody, I'm Zach from MPHC Climbing Gym. We're going to try a little video gear review for you on Facebook or YouTube or whatever. Today's gear thoughts are about Totem Cams. They're a new product from Spain. They're like the new sexy competitor to Black Diamond or Wild Country or what have you. First impressions on these things, they feel really smooth when you play with them. These are new, of course, so they haven't been beaten up. We'll see how they feel in a few months. They feel good, they look good, they're not, you know, I remember seeing Aliens for the first time, they kind of looked homemade. These look pretty legit, so, you know, they've clearly got like a good design and good execution of their design, or at least hopefully. So anyway, the idea behind these, what makes them unique instead of every other cam, like I'm going to compare them to the standard around here, the Black Diamond Camelot, or the C4, the updated version, is a single axle, or double axle with a single stem rather. So all the force is on this single stem, and then it pulls on the axle, and that pulls on the lobes. This is different from these new Totem Cams. As you can see, the stem here doesn't actually extend down. It's just to connect all this stuff together. So where this is the main structural body of the cam, instead of pulling on the stem, you're just going to be pulling on these teeny tiny little wires that look really sketchy. So I'm thinking that, you know, initially in the market people might get scared off a little bit by that. But the idea behind this is that instead of just pulling on the axle, which in turn pulls on the cam lobes, the force is pulling, I don't know if you can see this, empty my hand here. You're clipped down here, you're pulling on this wire down here, which this loop actually extends up here and around this tiny little bar in the back of the cam lobe. So you're literally just pulling on these little wires, and when you do so, downward force here means sideways force there, which opens the cam. So when you put downward pressure on that, it's not just the camming motion of the lobes that expands against the sides of the crack, but it's actually assisted by the pulling of the wires, which pushes the lobe out with greater force, theoretically. I've never really had trouble with my cams holding against the sides of cracks, but theoretically, this is going to give you a greater ability to place the cam in like a flaring crack, you know, instead of a parallel-sided crack, one that's kind of shaped like that is going to be able to hold in something like that with greater force. Whether that or not that actually works, we'll see. We got to test these babies out. But that's the theory behind it. The other cool thing is that you can place these in a very shallow crack and just engage 2 lobes instead of all 4. So, you know, this is pretty sketchy on this lobe and this lobe. I don't think you'll be able to see it really well, but the back lobe back there, yeah, okay, get a top view. The back lobe's pretty well engaged. So, you know, you can do that with a normal cam. However, this differs because instead of clipping this sling here, which would pull on both cams, like a normal U-stem cam or something like that, you can actually clip into this little point right here, and then that takes these 2 lobes, these wires, and this set of wires, this loop, out of the equation. So you're pulling more directly onto the 2 lobes that you've weighted, instead of pulling all 4 and hoping those 2 stay. So, you know, like I say, I got to test this out or read some reviews about it from people using it in the field, but that seems pretty cool to me. So, just a head-to-head comparison. You know, they've made it cleverly so that the red Totem Cam is roughly the size of the red C4. Feels pretty much the same. We looked up the specs on the Totem Cam website and the Black Diamond website, and Totem Cam suffers a slightly smaller range, but it's like a millimeter or 2. So it's a negligible difference in terms of range, and the same with weight, actually. That was my other concern when I read about this before I had it in my hand. I thought, you know, there's a lot of new technology. We don't know how it's going to come together. It might be heavy. Some of you may have tried those Omega Pacific link cams, and those are super heavy, and that's one of the things that kind of turned me off of that. But this design feels pretty good. Again, we looked on the respective websites, and Totem Cam is maybe a couple grams heavier than the equivalent sizes in the smallest sizes of the Totem Cams. But then once you get into the largest size of the Totem Cam, the red, it's actually slightly lighter than the Black Diamond. So, you know, it's all kind of a wash in terms of range and weight. So the issues that are going to separate these cams, you know, perhaps the new engineering technology on the Totem Cam might work better in certain placements than the C4. On the other hand, I'm a little bit worried about the durability of these thin wires. That's one thing that we're going to need to just see from experience using the item, see how it holds up, like if you fall in a horizontal gunks, you know, these little wires bending against potentially a sharp crack or something. We'll see how it handles that. Another downside is that I think in general the retail price of this red C4 is around $60. This one is $80. Maybe if the euro plummets or something, then we can get them for cheaper. But this is going to be a little bit more expensive for the near term. So, like I say, we gotta use them, try them out. Bill, you want me to plug the little program, borrow them from the gym? So in the coming months, even though it's super cold, we invite customers to come and check out the set of these guys. We have 5 of them. So, you know, give us your driver's license or something, and then go. You hang on to them for a week and go test them out and tell us what you think. Try to destroy them. So that's that. We'll see you in the next video.